In this POWERCITY weekly live stream, we're going to be talking about the latest in Pulse Chain, the latest Pulse Chain narrative, and I'm also joined by someone, again, who is here just for the tech. I'm sure you know who that is. Let me bring up Mr. Fast Abdul back in the house. Your mic is muted, Mr. Fast Abdul.
Not so fast.
Not so fast. Good to see you, man. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, I've been touching grass a bit recently because for the first time in many months, I can actually see grass. It's not covered by snow, so that's been nice. There's still a lot of snow, but some of it is been pushed aside, and there is grass underneath. So feeling positive.
Nice, man. Get some grounding, get some magnetic vibes of the earth. How are you feeling about, I mean, in the last 24 hours, we've seen tariffs pause, we've seen markets pumping, right?
The swing of like tariffs to like no tariffs for 90 days. Like, man, that's an emotional roller coaster. I'm sure a lot of people got shooken out, recently of not just Pulse Chain or crypto, like of stock markets, of everything, right? It feels pretty intentional to me, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had the post, inauguration pump, or sorry, the Trump pump and what's not, and then it died down, and then the tariffs started to loom, the talk about tariffs, and then obviously it hit really hard, right? In the last couple of days, we saw trillions wiped out the stock market. I mean, we're seeing Ethereum at 2018 prices. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been a bit, it's been pretty volatile. But as we're looking at GoPulse now, Hex is back up nearly 20% in 24 hours. Ink's back up nearly 18%. Pulse and PulseX over 15% each. So, the fact that these tariffs have been paused for 90 days, hopefully let's carry on with these green candles, right?
Agreed. Yeah, I think this stuff is great. And then hopefully it follows up with, I think on April 21st is the deadline for the judge to rule on the SEC resubmitting their case, if they even do bother to resubmit their case. So we might not hear about that till April 22nd, but those are dates to put on the calendar, to be sure.
Interesting. Did you see there's a new appointment for the SEC as well?
Yes. What's his name again? I read he was
Gary something.
Bitcoin.
Yes. So if I could just, let me actually maybe pull this up. I just saw Trump's new appointment, new SEC chairman. Sorry, Atkins. Is it Paul Atkins? That's it.
There we go.
So this guy seems to be pretty pro crypto. Atkins seen as a champion of cryptocurrency, as it says here, but that's the opposite of what we've had, right? With Gensler and someone who we thought was going to be pro crypto. Wasn't Gensler teaching cryptocurrency before at MIT or whatever? And but
yeah, something like that. And then he turned code on us and attacked, basically, right? So with him out of the way, with I think wasn't there something about them like dissolving the crypto enforcement portion of the SEC or something like that anyway?
I think I saw that yesterday in a headline. I need to go down that rabbit hole. But if that's true, or did Richard post that on Twitter yesterday? I think Richard posted a link to something like that.
Let's take a look.
Talking about, the crypto arm or the crypto regulation part of the government was dissolved. If that's true, I mean, it's looking bullish. All we need is narrative to play out that we thought was going to play out for 2025. Let me share this. U.S. Justice Department disbands cryptocurrency enforcement unit.
Nice.
So that's from Reuters. Richard posted that 2 days ago. Again, bullish, right?
Totally. Yeah, it's adding up to be the perfect storm of green candles potentially, right? Like we see Bitcoin break 100K in the next month, 2 months, and the stock market, everything turning around like at the same time. Like it could really be the perfect beneficial storm for crypto, which I'm pumped for that. Not to mention if the SEC thing gets thrown out, and I have a suspicion that the day after possibly the minute after that is confirmed, that we will see Richard streaming again.
Mm.
And I'm very confident that would be good for the Pulse chain.
Well, we've seen comments turned back on. Like you said, that gets thrown out. Streaming, I mean, that'll be like the dam that's been closed for many years opening back up, I think, because
Huge.
if you were around in 2020, 2021, you got used to Richard streaming a lot, and he was on all the time. It pumps the community. It was good for morale. So yeah, let's see. Maybe 2025 didn't start the way we all thought it would, but it's going to end a lot better.
Yep.
But
and we have a low liquidity situation on Pulse chain that is designed to pump, and like designed by Richard Hart, in my opinion, by reducing the inflation on the ink farms on PulseX and incentivize people to pull liquidity, which they did. Now there's way less liquidity on all RH tokens, as well as other tokens, and so a cash injection would have a tremendous effect. Like even tiny numbers like $10 million would make things double on Pulse chain. So when you look at the sack bags and you look at like, okay, what if ETH goes back up to 4K and Richard deploys some of that? Like, man, like it could we could be talking like $2 hex, $50 ink, like that sort of thing, 10-cent Pulse. Like
let's get our moon boots ready, because that would be the that would be the end of the drought that we'd all been waiting for. And I mean, ink. I mean, where did ink hit? Was it $80 at the top? Something around
$80 at the top early on, yeah. And that was when it was at 4 ink per second being released, and now it's at 0.03 ink per second being released. So a huge difference in the inflation. It's it's less inflationary than Hex or Pulse, right? Like there's a big difference in that. Not to mention that like ink has the code to one day be a DAO token for Pulse chain, and I could see that being a thing. I can't say what Richard's planning. He's in the past he spoke against DAOs, but we've certainly seen him pivot on some things in the past couple of years, haven't we, Matt? We have pumped out tires. We have reduced inflation on Hex. Like, there's been some changes in his worldview, I suspect.
Yeah, well, obviously, as we all get older and get more information, we update our worldview. He was a Bitcoin maxi right at the beginning, right? Talking trash on Ethereum. He changed his tune on that. Then he obviously forked Ethereum. So things change, and there is definitely, it's funny because when ink came out, incentive token, and then it just started to get its own community around it. Obviously, there's a huge following, and where we are today is just not long ago. How long ago? 2-3 weeks ago, or maybe less than a month ago. Ink printer was launched.
That's right. So I can see Shiburnit Cub asking about it. The website is inkprinter.com. Maybe you could drop that in the chat, Matt.
Sure.
No, or maybe I could. I think I'm in admin. Let's see. Inkprinter.com.
Yeah, always make sure, double check your links, guys, before you go into any of the dApps, whether they're PowerCity or anything else, just to make sure that you're interacting with the right dApp. So if you drop that in the chat, have you posted it yet?
I dropped it in the public chat, but I think it disappeared because I'm not in this chat. So
okay, let me just drop that here.
But yeah, so Inkprinter is live. Thanks, Matt.
So let's educate people, the people that maybe don't know about this, do know about it, but want some more information, because like we're talking about, there's many different narratives right on Pulse Chain, but Pulse Chain is becoming the place of real legit DeFi stablecoins, as we've seen with multiple liquidity forks, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, this is the fourth liquidity fork on Pulse Chain. We have now one representing every core Richard Hart token. So we have Hex is the Flex protocol. PulseX is represented by the Earn protocol, and then of course Liquid Loans represents Pulse as collateral, and then Ink Printer, you can use ink as collateral. And seems like people like it. We have a fair amount of value locked in there. 2.96 million ink tokens worth $3.56 million is currently locked in ink printer. It's I think that's about a hair less than 6% of the actual total ink supply.
So you can see that here now on the screen.
Yeah.
And yeah, TVL nearly over $3.5 million, nearly 3 million ink, 126 volts, and nice clean interface. So basically, if you're holding ink, right, you can come in here, you can mint yourself a loan. Let's talk about some of the different specifications compared to the previous liquidity forks on Pulse Chain.
You bet. So this is very close to the other forks, and that is, it is like a straight fork of liquidity, right? There were very few changes. The biggest change is probably that the redemption is paused for 45 days instead of for 14 days, which we saw in all the other forks. Redemption is the process whereby you can exchange one ink dollar for $1 worth of ink. And it gets it basically pays off a portion of the lowest collateralized vault to do that, which is a net neutral for that vault holder. But sometimes people don't like it because it's not part of their plan. So by giving it 45 days instead of 14, we're hoping to, kind of ramp up the volume a bit and let people use the protocol in what I think they probably feel is a lower risk environment, even though that isn't really a risky event. But it is something where they could sort of set it and forget it for the 45 days. As long as they are mindful of the liquidation risk, you still want to stay above 110% collateralization ratio. And there have been some liquidations, which of course pay the people who are staked in the stability pool. So people have received a lot of ink for staking their stablecoin in the stability pool. And they also get the print token. We can see there we got, sorry, my eyes aren't that good anymore, Matt. Is that 19% APR?
18.49. So yeah, 18.5% at the moment.
So for a single-sided staking of a stablecoin, and that doesn't include the ink from the liquidations because that's not a predictable number. That's just the drip of the print token is included in that 18%. So I'm positive that some of the people who staked in there are way over 18% from the ink they've received for being in that pool. So, and that's just one of the options. There's the other option of participating in liquidity farming down below. There's 2 farms that run for an entire year. The ink to DAI one, so that's ink to DAI from Ethereum. So you have basically a no impermanent loss farming option, stables to stables. You're earning 25% APR plus the compounding stables in the pair, right? Because it is on PulseX V2 is where the liquidity is located. So you're earning the fees on that as well, which is not included in that number. So not terrible there. And then if you want a little higher risk scenario, the ink to print farm is paying 190%, which is actually pretty crazy. And I would have seen that as a higher risk play in the past, like early on with the protocol, just because these liquidity forks, the tokens tend to really pump very early on and then come down. But we've seen kind of a stabilized curve bottom on the print price already. So I feel much more confident myself about that pool. No financial advice for anybody else. Do your own research. That is a volatile pool in that you don't have stables to stables. But if the price of ink goes up and the price of print goes up and you're making 190% APR in print token plus the compounding there, that's not too bad in my book. For me, that was worth a little bit of a risk to participate there.
Well, it's great to have those 2 options, right? For someone who's a bit more conservative, you could be in the stable coin pool, which Jesse has educated many people on, which is, a lot of people before were probably keeping their stable coins just sitting in their wallet, right? Not getting anything. You could put them here. You could be getting 25%, which is way more that you'll be getting in legacy finance. But if you're a bit more risque and you want to risk it for the biscuit, like I said, it's not even, like you said, you need to weigh up where you are and what you want to do. But print ink at 190%, very, very tasty, very, very attractive. So there's multiple ways to yield, and there's even more ways that are coming down the pipe, right?
Yeah, you bet. And we can go over some of those ways. Some of those ways went live just today, actually. So we got some juicy options that are coming up, and they're all going to work together to make print a very rare token, in my opinion. And when the bull market comes and we have that $80 ink back, you better believe that this protocol is going to be printing.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Well, let's talk about this, the infinite printer upgrade.
You bet. So, can you see my mouse cursor there, Matt?
I can.
Okay, good. So let's start in the middle here, because we have kind of like an unusual concept that I want to get out of the way. So we came up with a concept, and when I say we, I mean me and the POWERCITY team, because I've been talking to you guys about this, and it was actually developed in partnership with POWERCITY. So the concept is that we're going to have a liquid staked print token, and this is already in development. There's code on the table. We're looking at it. We're testing it. It's not going to be long before this is reality. So this will basically allow people to interact with the contract, to stake their print in the liquid print staking contract, and get another token called S-Print in return. Now, it'll be a separate tab. It's not the regular place you stake your print. You'll have a choice of staking your print natively in the Ink Printer protocol, or staking it in the S-Print portion of the protocol. And we'll just have a different button on the same screen that we just looked at, so that it won't be hard to find. When people do that, they get this S-Print token in their wallet representing staked print, which they can redeem anytime for print. All right, so it's a one-to-one back and forth. And so there's, a very, very low risk transaction in that way. When they do that, they're giving up the earning they would get to stake print themselves. So normally when you stake print, you get ink and ink dollars as your reward when people either mint ink dollars, or when people redeem ink dollars, you get ink. So you're giving that up, and the protocol uses it to buy and burn S-Print itself, thus making S-Print permanently or print tokens permanently locked in the S-Print contract, and permanently buying up S-Print every time there's a transaction that goes through the Ink Printer protocol. Now, there will be benefits to doing this for the user. One of the benefits is going to be farming. So we'll have 0 and permanent loss farming pairs with S-Print paired against print. And remember, Matt, one S-Print is always worth one print because they're interchangeable. You can redeem it inside the protocol. So there might be some trading inside that pair that pays the compounding fees, but there's no impermanent loss, because no matter what, you have something that equals print. So I think that will be a nice surprise for people to have a genuine no impermanent loss farming pair that is not a stablecoin pair, that is volatile assets that can go up, right, and that will definitively go up or down together, because they're one equals the other all day long every day. And we'll likely host that on Fux and 2Fux. So there'll be rewards in 2Fux and Fux there. But that's just the start. We're going to have an additional farming protocol as well. Did you have any questions about this first stake print part, Matt?
No, I think it's quite self-explanatory. Let me reiterate what you said, right? You could obviously stake your print tokens in the protocol, but you take that and you put them here. Therefore, you get one S-Print is a receipt for your print, staked print, and therefore you can then take that and then LP, and this is on 2Fux, on Fux and 2Fux, right? You're going to have full set.
That's likely one of the places where you'll have that option. So, and that's one of the tools in the toolbox right now. But we're looking at an additional liquidity farming option that we're working on with the Hocus Pocus team. Recently, they launched a special farm for the no permissions community called the Homie Farm, and that worked very well. That pays in the DAT token. So this will be very similar to that. It's the liquidity again will be hosted on PulseX V2. So you're making fees inside the pair, but on top of that, you'll be getting a very special reward token. And this is something I haven't seen done before on the Pulse chain. I'm going to call it the Incinerator token for now. And it's a token that is a reward token that has a reflections option that pays holders in ink. Like, you'll get airdropped ink to your wallet. And when people choose not to hold it, they choose to sell it or transfer it, then that token will buy and burn S-Print, further accelerating the process of the S-Print contract, holding more of the print forever and ever, and using all the rewards to buy it off the market.
Very interesting. I also like the fact that you've got, again, another a zero impermanent loss because option, because again, when people are getting into LPing and what's not, it can be a bit overwhelming, not thinking, oh, I could lose half my tokens and only end up with one side and what's not. So to be able to stake or to be able to provide liquidity without impermanent loss, I think is an attractive option for many people in DeFi.
Yep, you bet. So I can see Natas Lestat has a question in the chat. Stake of a stake within a stake sounds good, but be careful. A copy of Pancake made Goose and tried something similar, but it ended up draining the OG position. This is, I see your concern there, Natas, but this is a very simple staking protocol. It's not doing anything funny in the background. It works like you might be thinking of Rocket Pool or something like that. It's much more complicated, but it's literally just, you stake one, you get one, and there's nothing in between. Right. So it's not a complicated part of the protocol. The farming stuff is far more complicated and tried, tested, and true. Everything will be audited, of course.
So if people want to do this, stake their print for S print, that's the other option would be staking, obviously, print in the protocol, right?
Totally. Yeah, and they can do that too, and that's going to enable them to earn ink and ink dollars. So that's a valid choice. But I think when we look at the APR situation, right, like how much they get for doing so, and since likely with these farming options, we're going to have, S print to print farming options. So it's effectively single-sided staking as far as how it plays out in the end. So if you're getting, 2 fucks and fucks over here, and then over here, you compare print to S print, and you're getting the incinerator token. And like the APRs on these plays are probably going to be higher than the APR most of the time in staking inside the protocol. And since the S print contract will probably become very quickly the largest holder of the print token because it will be using all its revenue to buy it, you'll end up in a situation where the best play is going to be something like participating in this S print to print pair and just letting the protocol itself buy up the price as other users come in and participate with Ink Printer by minting stable coins, by taking loans, by doing the things that it does, right? So I think this could change not only the outlook for Ink Printer, but if since we're working with the POWERCITY team on this, if they decide to deploy something similar for Earn or Flex, like we could see a very different chart there as well. That's a speculation. I'm not on that team, but hey, could be a thing.
Well, if there's more options, right? If there's more options and there's better yield in different places, of course, it's always going to make holding the token more attractive, because as we know, a lot of the time when you're rewarded tokens, whatever protocol you're in, people want to extract value, right? They want to, they're staking, they're LPing, they want to dump those tokens or dump some of them at least. But if there's more incentive to hold them because you're getting a higher APR, then
you get a higher APR. Plus, there's like the biggest whale who holds it can't sell. Right. This is the long game that I'm talking about. This is how I'd like to see it play out. If the biggest whale that holds it can't sell and always buys it every time he gets yield, then that sounds like a good system to me. So there could be other add-ons to this in the future, but like I think the total concept of getting out this incinerator token, adding that together with the S print concept to like just boost it to be powerful very quickly, right? So it would work without this additional option, but I think this incinerator token is probably going to be something people like. Some people are going to choose to hold it. If they choose to sell it, that serves the purpose too, and they'll be able to get it to farm on things like stablecoin pairs. So I put in my examples here, we have Ink Dollar to PXDC, Ink Dollar to USDC. It could be Ink Dollar to HexDC, USDL, whatever we want, right? And people will get paid quite likely more than they're getting paid anywhere else for stable to stable farming with a token that buys and locks print effectively, right? Permanently, right? So it's the incentive structure, combining it with farming, and this is a traditional type of farming, like the hocus pocus farming wizard is basically like a fork of PulseX. It's like a Master Chef fork. It works exactly the same. The liquidity itself lives on PulseX. It's something people are very comfortable with. And then, of course, the more advanced players, they're going to play over on Fux and 2Fux, and we can have all kinds of pools there. In fact, Matt, I just launched a pool today, not for Sprint because it's not there yet, but for the print token, we have a new liquidity farm on Fux.io and 2Fux.io. I'm going to drop it in the private chat here, and maybe you can pull it up, Matt.
Sure. So this is the RH laser printer. Hang on, let me.
Yeah, you bet. This is brand new today. Hours old.
I can see. 9th of April, $105.77 so far. So what have we got in the RH laser printer?
So at the top there, it shows you the distribution. So it's 50% print token, and then it's basically split equally between Hex, Ink, that's Hex on Pulse Chain, PHEX, Ink, PulseX, and Pulse. So this is going to tie the price of the print token, which is already tied very closely to Ink. That's the main liquidity on PulseX, but it's going to tie it to all these RH assets that personally I am feeling very bullish on right now. So, and not only that but it pays people bonus fees to participate in the pool. So if you scroll down a little bit there, you'll see the APR on Fux set between 17.45 and 33.85. Now, this pool is now available on 2Fux, but it will take about 24 hours for the APRs to trickle down there. In my experience, we'll probably see about 3 times the larger number there. So we're likely looking at 100% APR situation on 2Fux inside of 2-3 days. Of course, it's variable depending on what happens, depending on the fees, depending on what the TVL is in the pool. If somebody puts $1 million in there, which isn't possible, the APR would go down. But as is, when this transfers over to 2Fux, which it will in the next 24 hours, I think we'll start seeing some very high APRs. So
you might see something between 45, 50, and 90%, right? If you're talking about maybe triple on 2Fux.
I'd go more like between 60 and 100 at the current TVL. Like there's $35,000 in that pool right now. Like if let's say that doubles to 70, maybe it comes down, and then we see something between 40 and 70% APR. But it's if it doesn't double, like I think it'll be probably good chance it'll be 100 plus actually.
Wow. Well, let's touch on that. Why that can happen, right? Because people might not understand how that mechanism works, and that's like you're staking like you're a whale, right? If you're on
exactly that. So if we look at that APR there, we can see it says 17.45 to 33.85. So that's a range. Like which one do you get? Well, most people are going to get the 17.45%. And that's because in order to get the higher APR, the 33%, you have to have a whole bunch of Fux tokens staked, which means they're locked for a year typically to get the best effect. And you'd need a lot of financial value tied up there, like probably 50 grand kind of thing in order to even touch that 33% APR. And because you get a boost for having more Fux staked. And that's how Fux works. That's how Balancer works on Ethereum, which is what Fux is a fork of. So that's, it's a good system. It motivates people to participate. But 2Fux, which is actually a fork of Aura Finance, which is more or less a fork of Convex, works on top of the Fux exchange. There's $1 million in Prime Fux locked in the 2Fux protocol forever, and it's always buying more, which is why 2Fux has 90% of the voting power on the Fux exchange right now. And when you stake via the 2Fux front end, you can kind of think, for this purpose, you can think of it as an alternate front end for Fux.io. Instead, you go to 2Fux.io to stake your LP token. You create it on Fux and then stake it on 2Fux. And then you get the benefit of all the Fux that is locked in the 2Fux protocol, like it was your own wallet, right? So you're basically staking via an alternate front end, like you were a whale on Fux.io, because 2Fux is the biggest whale by far on Fux.io because of all the Fux that is permanently locked in the contract and all the Fux that gets bought daily by the protocol and locked forever again. So it's a good system that's been tested on Ethereum with both Curve, Convex working on top of Curve, and then Aura Finance working on top of Balancer. And now we have on Pulse Chain, we have 2 Fux working on top of Fux to give people better yield. And it's not just better yield in the Fux tokens. That's our saying is, welcome to 2 Fux. We give more Fux because we do. But you actually get the 2 Fux token as well, which enables you to lock it and gain some of that 90% voting power in the Fux ecosystem. Since you're only voting on one thing, which is money, which pool will pay the most, those votes are definitively worth money, and people like them.
Yeah, and like you said, just to reiterate the process, I've made a few videos on this about the power stable pool and the power play pool. You you provide liquidity on Fux first, grab your LP tokens, bounce over to 2 Fux, stake them there. Yep. It's your keys, your coins, but you're staking like you're a whale. So it's like the best of both worlds, right?
Yep, that's the idea. And it's not difficult to do. Like once it's more difficult to add the LP on Fux because you're dealing with a pool that has multiple assets. And there are some, guides on that. I'm happy to walk anybody through it if they want to hit me up in one of my Telegram rooms. But once you have that LP token in your wallet, the Fux exchange says, would you like to stake for extra yield? And that's your cue to not do that and instead go to 2fux.io where you can hit the portfolio page and it just shows up in your wallet, right? And and you can press the stake button there. And there's not really any additional work on that side. All the hard work is done on Fux.io, adding the LP in this pair that has 5 different assets. But there are tools that, built in here to help you do that to get the correct balance so you don't pay slippage, etc. So, and I'm happy to walk anybody through the process. Just make sure you're talking to me and not some scammer because there are fake fast Abduls out there, I assure you.
Of course there are. So you'd add liquidity here, you'd get your LP tokens, then you would bounce over to here.
Yep.
And then you would stake your LP tokens for that nice high juicy yield, which we can see in many of the
Yep. And if you hit that portfolio page up at the top, that you'd be able to see it in that section. It would detect it in your wallet.
Okay, perfect. So more utility coming, more different ways to yield on Pulse Chain. I think it's super bullish on the print token, the new tokenomics and what you can do with S-Print. So what's been released so far today and what's to come?
So far today is just that the new bonus pool on Fux and 2 Fux, right? So that's an additional option for print tokens. The liquid staking print token S-Print has not been released yet. The Incinerator token has not been released yet, and I won't even guarantee that's going to be the name. So we'll get those done in due time. I think we're looking at probably releasing in segments. Likely the S-Print token will come out first. Perhaps in a 2 to 3 week time frame, and then another couple weeks after that. I think we can have the whole shebang with the Incinerator token, the additional farming on PulseX V2, as well as probably we'll see some more farms on Fux and 2 Fux, and additional stable farms too. So we're talking about the print token, but this is really all about the stable coins. So adding additional utility, additional yield options for stable coins on Pulse Chain, I think is going to be the big win here. As I mentioned before, when we were talking before the stream, I'd like to see Pulse Chain change its narrative from being the copy chain to being the stablecoin chain. And I think things like this will help us do that. Give people reasons to invest in stablecoins, right? And to earn yield on stablecoins. And in bear markets, which will come eventually, I don't think we're in one now, but people like stablecoins. So imagine a scenario where Pulse Chain does well in this bull cycle. A lot of people move into stablecoins and then they don't withdraw. They keep it on Pulse Chain, farming their stablecoins, right? Stables against stables, right? For a 2-year bear market. And then the next bull market, when they have these stables, all the yield they made on the stables during that time, all the compounding they made on the stables during that time, imagine the next bull market when those guys deploy their stablecoins to what is now a trusted chain. I think it'd be huge.
Well, there's so many how many now? We have all the four core tokens, true DeFi, over collateralized stable coins.
That's right.
That is the new narrative. Definitely stable coins that aren't collateralized, as we've seen, don't work out well.
That's good. Yeah.
So
we also have Coast, which is like more of an on-ramp, off-ramp functionality, but you know, and they have some off-chain processes. It's not the same, but I think it is an asset on Pulse Chain. I believe those guys mean well and they work hard every day too. So, you know, that's 5 effectively native stablecoins on Pulse Chain with no bridge risk, right? Which is huge because when guys are looking at coming over, like, and I mean guys with like $10 million, they're going to look at things like that, right? Like, I think we need fat liquidity in these native stable coins. There should be $1 million plus liquidity pools for every single one, so that, you know, when whales come from Ethereum, they can be like, oh, what's the native stable coin with no bridge risk? Okay, I'm going to move into that. I'm going to bridge in via Coast and buy Inc dollars, and, you know, and stake that here while I'm waiting for my next play, right? Those are the people whose attention we want, right? And yeah, and I think being the stablecoin chain, it just has a nice ring to it too.
It does. It definitely does. So where should people be to have their finger on the pulse for these new upgrades, these new printer upgrades?
I always announce things first in the ink printer Telegram room, right? Just because I find that's the most focused place to talk about that. But, you know, I think we'll see. I'll make announcements on Twitter and stuff as well. So if you want to follow me on Twitter at FastDevDuel, that's FASTABDOUL, and you'll be able to likely see some upgrades there. But going to the Telegram room, which I will read out for you momentarily. T.me ink printer chat. So that's INC printer chat. You'll be able to find, be the first to know the information about what's coming out, as well as get copies of audits and things like that. The sort of technical things that people on Pulse Chain should be doing before they participate in a protocol, and is checking out to see, is this legit? Is the founder legit? Can I talk to him? What's the deal? And yeah, I'm available to comment. But again, with the scammers, you know, there's a lot of activity on Pulse Chain now. There's a lot of activity in crypto, and that always brings in, you know, some scammers. So remember that, like, I will never send you a private message on either Telegram or on Twitter, and that the admins in any Telegram room shouldn't be DMing you, right? It's not normal. And never give away your seed phrase or your private keys to anybody for any reason, right? Even if it was me and I'm talking to you on the screen, it's still a terrible plan. Don't do it. If you don't know what those things are, please look them up.
Especially with AI and deep fakes and what's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
awesome,
it's a changing landscape, and there's going to be more risk out there. So, and it's not just that, it's clicking links. There's all kinds of pitfalls. So yeah, learning about getting your OPSEC down for security right now is super important for everybody as we go into the bull market. Have 100%. A Trezor like this, right? Hardware wallet, have at least one. I got about 6, right? Have ridiculous passwords that nobody can break. It's you know, all these things are really important right now.
Exactly. You got to stay on your toes in crypto, just like the real world, right? There's someone on every corner trying to pull a fast one, and crypto is no different. So human nature doesn't change, but the technology in how we do things or how people rip each other off does. So as you said, hardware wallets, not replying to people DMing you who have the same name as the admins in your group and what's not. Being on your toes. So good stuff there. Thanks for coming on again, man. Talking Pulse Chain, the direction of Pulse Chain, the narrative around stable coins, and of course this printer upgrade is exciting stuff. And thanks again for being one of the people who keep adding utility to Pulse Chain.
My pleasure, Matt. Thanks for having me.
No problems. Let's come on again soon, and when these things go live and talk about it more.
Deal.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Guys, thanks for watching. And for any of the links to any of the POWERCITY dApps, the correct links, you can find those below in the description box. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.